Good day, family. Hey, this is going to be a great day. The reason why I say it's going to be a great day is because we have another episode of Foundation Fridays. Now, if you don't know what Foundation Fridays is, it's something that I came up with because as we go into the weekend, as we go into next week, we have dreams, we have goals, but a lot of the times we don't put the right habits in place, not only with our skill set, but more importantly, our mindset to be able to build the foundation. So everything that we do over these next 2 days sets us up for next week, the next month, the next year, and so forth. So I wanted to bring together this episode to you all, and I wanted to talk about something that I think is very, very important, but we don't really take the time to really look at, and that is how aware are you of your tendencies and who exactly you are. Now, I'll tell you, for me, over the last year, it's been definitely a struggle for me. And the reason why I say that is because for me, I've tried my hand at so many different things, and a lot of them have been successful. But I tell you that because what it's also done is it's caused a little bit of confusion in my mind. And maybe you're someone who you can identify with this because you have a lot of passions. You really want to do some things that, can spark and take over the world. And if you're trying your hand at everything, you start to wonder, what exactly am I supposed to be doing? And so for me, what really I started to do was I started to journal. I started to write down what exactly were the things that made me come alive, right? I also started to write down what exactly were the things that I would say are my gifts. Because it doesn't matter what other people say, right? They could tell you, oh, you're so good at that. But if you don't have the conviction in your heart that you're good at that, at the end of the day, it won't matter, right? So for me, what I did was I started to write down different things. And one of the things that I wrote down was I'm very good at articulating my vision and my goals and my dreams. I get people excited about that. And I was like, okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is I'm very good at telling people, and not so much telling, but like encouraging people to invest into themselves, right? So that could be in the form of home ownership with real estate. That could be in the form of starting a business. So it was all these things around communication. So I understood. I was like, man, because I've had friends over the last year, and probably you have too, that have said, man, because of what you said, I went and did X. I had a couple friends last year that started their own business, cosmetic business, a construction business. One of my best friends, he reached out to me, and this was crazy because I had just known him for only probably about 6 months or so. Now he's one of my brothers. We talk every single day. But I had told him, he had first told me about his dream that he wanted to get out of his 9-to-5, and he was working as a project manager, and he wanted to start his own cleaning and construction business, doing remodels, doing all these other things. He had so much life when he told me about it. And I was like, man, you absolutely got to do it, right? Because think about it. And this is something that I learned. If you allow someone else to feed you, as in that job, then you also give them permission to starve you. So what happens if you feel like you're working your butt off, and then all of a sudden the company decides to go in a different direction, whether that means that they don't give you the job opportunity, that when that promotion comes available, you don't get it, or if they decide to sell the company. There's so many things. So I said, it's better that you bet on you rather than you betting on someone else, because at the end of the day, you got to take a gamble anyway. And he was like, oh man, that's right. But he never did anything with it at that time. And then all of a sudden, a couple months later, he says, hey, can we go to lunch, bro? And I said, yeah, of course. So we go to lunch, and he says, man, I wrote out my business plan. I'm going to take the leap of faith. And I was so proud of him, right? I was so proud that he had decided to take this leap of faith and bet on himself. And so I say that because that was one of the things that I understood. I understood that I had the power of speaking life into someone else and getting them to invest into themselves. So I looked at that and I said, okay, that's another thing that I'm good at. Well, what else am I good at? What else that makes me come alive? Well, what makes me come alive is other things around marketing, right? I love to talk funnels. I love to talk, and those are all the things that most people would never know, because I'm talking real estate a lot of the times, or I'm talking building wealth, or I'm talking personal development, but I do have that nerdy, that tech side that I love to talk funnels. I love to talk storytelling. I love to talk upsells, downsells, all these other things. But that was, again, I had to become self-aware. But there was another step to this as well. I had to become self-aware of the things that I didn't like. I had to become self-aware of the things that were causing me frustration. But also, I had to know what I didn't like, For me, I read the book, and I don't know if you've ever read this, but I would encourage you to. It's called Rocket Fuel. And what that taught me is that I was a visionary. I love to be able to speak my vision. I love to be able to tell people where we're going. I love to be able to execute, but I also didn't like the smaller detailed, the fine-tuned things. And so what that meant is if there was something that was fine-tuned that required attention to detail, either I was going to have to map it out and put it on my calendar and really go through that, be patient, give myself grace with getting through it, or better yet, I could figure out the who. Who was somebody that I could empower on my team or that was in my circle that did like to deal with the finer details, and they didn't want to think too much big picture because that wasn't their strength. And so my challenge to you this weekend is think about, as you're building out your foundation over the weekend, think about writing down tonight, if you have some time, 30 minutes is all it'll take. Draw a line down the middle of the piece of paper, even if you're going to do this on your notes app or whatever it is that you do, and write, what are all the things that make you come alive? What are all the things that, once you get to researching these things, you just can't stop thinking about it. You would love to do this. And then on the other side, write all the things that you don't like. Imagine not only the outcome, but here's the next step to that. Imagine you having to do these things in the trenches, right? When times are hard, when you're very busy, when just money's slow, all of these things. Will you want to do whatever that thing is at the highest level and continue to go through it? Because that will tell you, if you don't want to do those things, that you need to employ somebody. And it doesn't mean you have to pay them monetary value, but it means that you need to have somebody that can capitalize on what you're weak at or the things that you know that you're not going to be consistent with. So that's my challenge for you this week. Remember, we're building our foundation, and we all have dreams, and in the dream we trust. But if we don't take action on that dream will only merely be a fantasy. If you love that, if you love this and these types of videos, be sure to check back in with me next Friday. We'll be putting these out on YouTube, on the podcast, and our whole goal is to empower people to turn their dreams into a reality. That's all for this one. We'll see you on the next one.